Hi, I'm Evan Carmichael, and this is my Unbreakable story. I was 19. I had an offer to join a startup company, make $300 a month, and own 30% of the business. At the same time, I had the chance to join what I thought was my dream job at the time, doing investment banking, traveling around the world, making six figures starting salary, and I didn't know which one to do. I didn't know which path to take. And I decided that I wanted to not live with regret. That I didn't want to get to the end of my life and say, I wish I'd taken my shot. I'd rather know and fail than not know. And so I took the path of being an entrepreneur, of owning 30% of this business, making $300 a month. And it was the toughest part of my life. We struggled, we suffered. I wasn't making any money. I was too embarrassed and too ashamed to tell my friends that I wasn't having success. After all, I turned down these dream jobs to go be an entrepreneur. And so I told them I was living the entrepreneur life and couldn't go out to have pizza and beer with them. But really, I couldn't afford the $20 that it would take. I had to pick one thing a month that I could go to as my discretionary budget because I was making no money. I ate the same bean salad for lunch every day because it was cheap and would fill me up. And when we made a sale, I would go to McDonald's with my two partners and we'd celebrate over a large French fries because that's all we could afford at the time. And so I struggled, I suffered, and I made it harder on myself in that I was too embarrassed to tell people. And so I struggled alone in silence. It all came to a point one day when it was some family function that I was at, and I was just tired of losing. I was tired of not making money. I was tired of struggling. I was tired of feeling like I'm putting all this effort and energy into this thing and it's just not working. I was tired of feeling like a loser. I had to feel like I could contribute value somewhere. I could get it if I wasn't putting the time, and I could understand why I wasn't getting the results. But this was every day. I'd wake up, work on my business the entire day, go to sleep, same thing the next day, every single day, and just not getting any results. And so at my family function, I called my business partner and I told him that I quit, that I couldn't go on, that I needed to find a way to, feel like a useful human being again. And I quit. I hung up the phone and I couldn't believe that I had said that. I couldn't believe those are the words coming out of my mouth. It's not how I identify myself. Um, and then I just started crying. The most I've cried in my life. Stuff was coming out of my nose, my eyes. I couldn't tell the difference. My mom heard me. She came up, put her hand on my shoulder. I didn't know I don't remember what she said. I was too lost. I tried to sleep that night, barely slept, and I woke up the next day and I thought, you know what, I can't quit yet. I can't quit yet. I have to at least know. And I asked myself, if I quit now, in 5 years, will I look back and say I gave it everything I had? And the answer was still no. So I had to keep going. I had to be unbreakable. I had to keep going because I love this thing. I had to find a way to see it through, or at least to know that I gave everything I had and then I could move on. And that's where I discovered modeling success. I thought, who else has built a software company before? And how can I learn from him or her? And the first person that came to mind was Bill Gates. And so I researched Bill Gates' story, how he started, applied those strategies to my company, and pretty shortly after had my first deal for $13,500. That may not seem like a lot of money, but to me that was a lot of money. That was making bank. That was I had money in my bank account. More than $300 a month. And more importantly than that, it gave me a business model that I could follow again and again and again and again. And I could close more deals and bring in more money. I'm a big believer that your purpose comes from your pain, that whatever you struggled with the most, whatever the thing was that made you feel like you were breakable, getting through that and becoming unbreakable becomes the thing that you want to help other people do for life. And so if anybody watching, if you're familiar with my work, you'll know that I write books and do videos talking about how you can model success. Even look at the people behind me on the wall, people who I've learned from that I like to model success from. That all came because when I was struggling almost 20 years ago, I looked to Bill Gates, and his strategy saved my company. I hope to one day be able to meet him and shake his hand and tell him the impact that he had on my life. But the past 20 years now, I've been trying to help other people model success, learn from the best, apply those strategies to whatever problem you're facing to try to get through it. And so when you discover what you're unbreakable at, I think it becomes part of you to then want to help other people who are currently going through that thing. Ultimately, your purpose comes from your pain, and whatever you struggled with the most, you will love for the rest of your life, helping other people who are currently going through what you struggled with. Fast forward a couple years, I sold my business. We built it to having customers in 30 countries, sold to NASA, Johnson & Johnson, big companies. I got acquired a couple years later, went into venture capital, and then started all of this stuff that you may know me for. But it all started because I almost quit. I had a breakable moment, and I decided that I was going to be unbreakable, that I was going to find a way through this, that I would rather know and fail than not know. I'm Evan Carmichael, and that's my unbreakable story.